Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? Sorry, I was like 2 seconds late there. I was adjusting one of my lights over here to the side. I got one of my lights late. How are you? It's good to see you guys. It's Wednesday. It's a beautiful day out. Beautiful summer day. Not as hot as it's been, so I hope that you're also having a good day, having good weather in your area. I know we get viewers from all around the world. So really just happy that we're able to spend some time together again today. And today is actually the end of my first 3 months doing content creation full time. So this has been a very interesting experience. And really, I mean, I shouldn't just say full time. I should just say like all the time. I've never really done this before. I mean, I've had like small social media accounts, but never anything to this scale. But yeah, today is the end of 3 months. And I'm really kind of kicking myself because I really wish that I had taken the time to write down like some like realistic goals that I would have thought when I started, as far as like what I would be doing and the number of subscribers and people I'd be talking to and stuff like that. And I never really did that. But I know that I wouldn't have chosen numbers as high as they are now. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and all your conversations that we're having. And I really appreciate that a lot of you reach out to me, and I'm able to have conversations back and forth with you, and also just kind of understand where the greater data science ecosphere is. I had a pretty good handle on it before, but I think I understand it even better now. So thank you all for that. But yeah, today is 3 months of content. So global roll call, as all of you know. We start off, let me know your city, state, province, country. Just let me know where you're from. Let's check out the global nature of the data science community. I love that part of it. Get to meet and talk with people from all over the world. So thank you so much again for being with us. I also like to start off with an opening note, which also gives you guys the time to say, introduce yourself and let me know where you're from. So kind of give you guys a minute here. But I wanted to share a story with all of you, and I don't share stories very often because I don't want to seem like the old guy in the room just telling stories, right? But one of you asked me a question, and I believe it was on Monday, and I don't see him in the chat, but I believe it was Joseph Hernandez, who usually checks in on YouTube. But I wanted to share a story with you because Joseph, you guys know that I always tell you, do the work of a data scientist. If you want to go into the data science field, the best way to pass the interview is to become a data scientist and to just do the work. Keep on applying yourself and doing the work of a data scientist, right? No one's going to come to anoint you that. You can do it yourself, right? I truly believe in this. And Joseph asked, well, how did you know that you were ready to start interviewing and become a data scientist and things like that? And he was referring to it because I always talk about this period that I had in my life where not only did I do my graduate studies for data science, but I also dedicated myself to learning, putting in the hours and whatnot. And he asked, so how did you know when you were ready? And that question kind of made me stop and think about that. It's kind of stuck with me the last couple of days. And I came up with an answer, and I'm sharing that answer in my next podcast episode that's coming out on Monday. But I'm going to give you that portion because, it really just made me stop, and it did make me realize that there was like an aha moment. So as I said, I made the transition from software development into data science. And this was about 10 years or so into my career. I read Mastery by Robert Greene, which I recommend to everybody. And I decided I want to go to data science. I did my graduate studies. And then I was still kind of dedicating myself to developing my craft, right? But just like anybody else, I have bills to pay, right? So I was still working at the time. I was still doing software development. And I remember that I was really lucky that I created these flexible like employment opportunities for myself. I was working, I was refusing to take full-time roles at that time, and I was only doing contract work because that gave me the flexibility to still do my graduate studies and then still, kind of choose what I want to do for the future, right? So I made these companies switch me to contract roles. And I totally lucked out because I was working for both Caesars Entertainment and IBM at the time. This was my second time working for IBM. I don't think I've ever said that before, but I've worked for IBM multiple times, and this was my second time working for IBM. And I was lucky because in the city where I live, both of those companies are located directly across the highway from each other. So Caesars was on one side, IBM was on the other, and I would work for Caesars in the morning. They were my AM client, and then IBM was my PM client. So I went through this whole cycle where I was working for Caesars, and then I would leave there at noon. And well, first of all, I would get up super early. I would get up like at 5 a.m. to be able to do my graduate studies because I was still taking classes at this time, right? And I still had commitments there. So I was getting up early, and then by 8:30 I would be at Caesars, work until like noonish. I would leave Caesars, and then I would go get lunch. There was this Thai restaurant that I really liked, and they had this great beef and broccoli, so I would go there, have lunch. I got friendly with one of the waitresses there, so she would always have my lunch waiting for me, which was really cool, really convenient. And then I would go to IBM. After lunch, I would go to IBM. So I just did like this little circle. It was all within like a mile of each other. I just got lucky that way. And then I would go work at IBM in the afternoons. And I remember that one day at IBM, we had like this little, I was working at IBM as a Java programmer, believe it or not. I refused to take any more Java jobs after that one, but I was actually there as a Java programmer working on one of their products. And because you're still at IBM, they introduce you to some of the products that they have coming out. So we had like this 1 hour training meeting on Watson Analytics. So Watson obviously is IBM's offering in data science. And Watson has been around for a very long time. Most people don't realize that. So it's had multiple iterations. And this happened to be the iteration for Watson Analytics. And they gave us this little 1 hour training because I was essentially working on a Java team. We weren't really doing data science. I was working on one of their let's just say it's just one of their portfolio products. And so I was basically working with other Java developers, just not really a lot of people that were like data oriented per se. So we had this 1 hour training meeting on Watson Analytics, and I think it's okay to talk about it because I don't think it's around anymore. But Watson Analytics, doesn't exist as a product, but it was basically IBM's attempt to mimic Data Robot, right? They were like what do they call it? The AutoML tools, right? And they gave us this little 1 hour training, and they said, hey, and by the way, here's the URL, so you can try it yourself, and as an IBM employee, you get access to it, blah blah blah. So I remember I left that meeting. And I was amazed by it, right? I thought this was a great tool. The rest of my coworkers couldn't have cared less. They were Java guys, right? They were Java guys working on a desktop application. They didn't care. But I remember that within an hour of leaving that meeting, and by the way, I should have said something else. This is about 2 years, like a year and a half to 2 years, year and a half, let's say, after I had decided to go into data science. Like this is a year and a half into my progress. So after leaving that meeting, within an hour, I had a working project and a working example of a data science effort within Watson Analytics. I live in a city that has an open data initiative where the police has to release all their records. So I quickly went to that website. I got some police records, put them into Watson Analytics to predict people's bail amounts. Like if you get arrested, this is the bail that police will give you, right? And then these are the attributes that go into that bail. I did this all within like an hour of leaving that meeting. And I remember that I did it. I made up a quick write-up, like a team email, and I sent it out to, all of my team members, including my bosses. So maybe like 40, 45 people got that email, right? And I double checked my work. I know the tool did well. The tool picked a reasonable model, so on and so forth. And I got crickets. Like nobody replied. Zero replies. But ironically, that showed me that I was ready to move on. Because one, not only was I working on a Java team that, was kind of boring, to be frankly honest. But two, it showed me that I could cook up a good amount of information, modeling, and information, like a result, in a very short amount of time, right? I had just been introduced to this tool, just like everybody else had, and I was able to come up with an idea right away. Oh, this is good for police records, and put it into this software, Watson Analytics. And that was the time. And you know, as a matter of fact, I remember it was also a Friday. This all happened on a Friday. And again, remember, this is all in the span of 2 hours. Like I had the little 1 hour, little rinky-dink training, and then I did some work on my own in an hour. But remember, it was a Friday. And when I left the office that day, I thought, you know what? I'm ready. I'm going to start sending out my data scientist resume this weekend. And that was the first weekend where I put myself out there as a data scientist. Prior to that, you know, I still had a software development resume. But that was the weekend. That was like the aha moment where I thought, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to move on. No more Java programming jobs, no more ASP.NET, no more software development. I'm good. I'm ready to be a data scientist now. So I wanted to share that with you to kind of, you know, inspire you, because I know that it can seem like a long journey to, you know, study data science and put in the time, put in the effort, do the work. But those moments will happen for you. There will be times where like everything just kind of converges for you in terms of your skill and your thinking and your tools. Everything will come together at some point when you've done enough of that work. So for me, like I said, that was about 18 months. That was after I had started my graduate. I was well into my graduate studies at that point. I was, you know, I was still doing this period where I tell you guys, you know, where I would go to the coffee shop twice a week and I would just work like crazy. I had done a ton of EDAs. I've read a million reports, you know, and just, I had done the work, and it culminated in this moment where I thought, yeah, you know, like I did pretty good data work today. I'm gonna start putting myself out there as a data scientist. So I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions on it, feel free to ask in the chat. You know, I share these moments that you guys can, you know, maybe it sparks some conversation. But I'm already seeing a lot of check-ins. Geez, you guys were fast today. So let me go ahead and start cranking out some of these check-ins. Rohan, I don't know how you managed to be first, but you've been first the last couple of days. So Rohan, good to see you, my friend. Oh, and you're on YouTube today. Good. I think you're usually on Instagram. Cool. Ping Pong Boy, let us know where you're from, but hello to you too. Abdul, our man in Boston, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Needed provided, just said hi. Let me know where you're checking in from. Rohan, congratulations for 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, Rohan. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a nice moment. You know, I just can't believe it. You know, I just, on May 1st, I started just because I wanted to share some knowledge, you know, and help the next generation. But it's been incredible. So thank you for that. Ken Cobby just says hello. Well, hello to you, Ken. Let us know where you're from, Ken. Patrick says, good morning, all from stormy Tennessee. Patrick, a consistent supporter. Thanks so much for being here. Rex says, from the Big Apple. That's right. Rex is our man in NYC, guys. And by the way, Rex and Patrick are also big participants in our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, I encourage you to do that. We have about 60 people on there. So join in on the conversation. Rex says, congrats on reaching 1,000. Yeah, thank you so much, Rex. I appreciate you saying that. It's crazy. Craziness. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Syed Hamad Javed from Pakistan. Yeah, Hamad, great to see you. I know you're a great supporter here. Good to see you again. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Needed provided says, nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Congratulations. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, putting in the work. You know, I'm learning here. Himansh Sharma says India. You guys can't just tell me India. You know, when you guys say that, it's like disrespectful to such a big, large country. Let me know what part of India. You got to be specific. Jeff Kamuthu says, checking in from Nairobi, Kenya. Nice, Jeff. Good to see you. Hope you're well. I think you might be new to this stream, but glad you're here. Anita Provided says, congratulations from India. Thank you so much. Ken Cobby is from Germany. All right, cool. We get a couple of viewers from Germany. You know, I think I did the numbers just recently. I think Western Europe is like 14% of my analytics. So good to see you. Srayan Shadav says, hey. Well, hey to you too. Giovanni, we're going to come back to questions. Let me know where you're from first, okay? And if you're joining us late, let me know where you're from. You know, just introduce yourself. I make it inclusive. That way you can participate without, you know, having to ask some big data science question. But I will come back to your question, Giovanni. Remind me if I forget, okay? Rayan says, congratulations, India. Thank you so much. Mushafir says, hi, Dennis. Hello. And by the way, thank you for the congratulations. And I want to make it known to the universe that my goal for the end of the year is to get to 5,000 followers on YouTube. That's a big goal. I know it's out there, but my goal is 5,000 on YouTube, 25,000 on Instagram. You know, we'll see if we get there, right? What's that saying? Shoot for the moon, and it's okay if you land among the stars. Excuse me, among the stars. So we'll see if we get there. Siva says, it's awesome we're getting to see you almost every day. Well, thank you for saying that. I wish my ex-wife would have said the same thing. But yeah, I'm doing streaming every day from now until October 31st at least. You know, that'll take us through the beginning of the school year for most parts of the world. But yeah, you know, just trying to spread the word of data science and spend time with all of you guys. So thanks so much. Michael says, hello, Dennis. Congrats on 1,000 followers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Needed provided. Let me. I'm going to come back to your comment. You're making an important comment, but let me make sure I get you. I get all of the check-ins. Go ahead and let me know your city, state, province, please. Giovanni says the lives from Sunday are nice. Hello from Manchester. Okay, cool. Manchester. I think you might be our first watcher from Manchester. Yeah, so Giovanni here is referring to the live streams on Sundays. That is this book, Introduction to Statistical Learning. If you're not familiar with it, you should be. It's a great book, has taught a lot of data scientists. So Sundays, we are doing a chapter-by-chapter study of this. We will be on chapter 5 this week, which is incredible. It's halfway through the book. So come and join us, 1500 GMT. Excuse me. It's on my YouTube. Well, I put it up on all my platforms, but YouTube gives you the widescreen format, which is a little easier to see everything. Subscribe, notify. It'll tell you when the class is starting because I post the thumbnails and the links ahead of time so you can choose to be notified for the class. But yeah, come and join us. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of really good back and forth. So it's a really good way to learn. Yassine says, thank you very much for your efforts from Fez, Morocco. Oh, very cool. I appreciate that. Yeah. Morocco's a beautiful country. I didn't quite make it to Fez. I've been to Mykonos, which I know is close to Fez, but I never quite made it to Fez. I heard it's beautiful up there. But I hope you're well, Yassine. Akshan says, you really make good content. Thank you. I hope so. You know, I'm just sharing my perspective, sharing my experience. So I appreciate that too. I appreciate you saying that. CVAT says, and that too with the glasses. Yep. The glasses are making a comeback. Yeah, just sometimes my contact lenses don't want to cooperate, so I have to wear the glasses. Okay, Hamad, I'm going to come back to your question. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody's check-ins. Katul says, top of the morning from Bloomington, Indiana. Nice. Very cool to see you here, Katul. Hope you're well. Bloomington, Indiana. That's the university, isn't it? Why does Bloomington sound familiar? I think that's where the university is, isn't it? Let me know, Katul. I'm guessing you're a university student there? Because I know Bloomington, Minnesota, I've been there. That's the Mall of America. But Bloomington, Indiana, I think that's the university. All right, I'm going to come back to that question. Okay, yeah. So Katul says it's also in my university. Yeah, okay, cool. I thought so. I thought that was in Indiana. All right. So so if you're joining us late, not too late to share your city, state, and country. Just let us know where you're from. But I'm going to go back to try to tackle some of these questions. See if anybody else out there. Okay, so let's start with Giovanni. Giovanni says, I will start my master's in data science. Can you share some advice? My background is in computer science. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I'm going to assume that you're going to a reasonable school that has a good curriculum. So really, the only thing I would encourage you is to, as soon as you can, start taking some of the items you learn there and start applying them to the things you find in the real world, right? Like, make sure you start making those connections between what you're listening in the classroom versus what you're going to learn or what you're going to do in the real life, or even what's happening in the real world, right? And also, if you can, not a lot of programs do this, but if there's electives or whatever, try to take some business courses, because ultimately, you're going to probably end up working for some large company, expecting to generate business impact, not code impact, not math impact, but business impact, right? So it helps to have a couple of business courses underneath you, right? So you can take like a marketing course, right? Like marketing courses can be understood even though you don't have like a business undergrad, right? So that's what I would encourage you. As an example of what I'm telling you, I don't know why this example is popping into my mind, but your question is triggering that. But like as an example, right? Like if you want to think about how you would do that, like how you're learning. I remember that when I was taking my master's studies, I took applied statistics, and in applied statistics you learn about p-values. And one of the things that kind of like jumped out at me learning in that is that there is no international standard for p-values, right? Companies can basically choose whatever they want for their p-values. So what I started doing, just out of my own curiosity, is I started reading some pharmaceutical reports, or like reports on like over-the-counter drugs, like like headache medicine or stuff like that. And I started looking for p-values, because that's one of the ways that companies lie with statistics, right? Like messing around with your p-values is where that starts, right? So I was able to take that type of classroom stuff and then be able to say, oh, I'm curious about that, let me go see. And you can find, like, and you can go out there and you can verify this yourself, right? Pharmaceutical companies use all kinds of p-values to prove effectiveness, right? So little things like that you're going to want to do as you learn them. Start going out and verifying them, right? And start going out and saying, oh yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, I was able to verify that because I found this other study outside of my school on my own, and I was able to look at that, right? So I think that's very beneficial and kind of fun in a way. So I hope that helps you, Giovanni. Mushafir says, but what made you find data over devs? Mushafir, I'm assuming that you're referring to my opening note. And I guess you're asking about what made me want to go away from development and into data science. So as I mentioned before, I just wasn't happy doing development. Like software development just wasn't really doing it for me. Great way to pay the bills, I was, always had a good paycheck from it, but I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't passionate about it. So that's where, reading Mastery by Robert Greene helped guide me in my thinking and kind of made me like reflect a little bit. And that's how I decided that, there's this thing I keep on hearing about that it combines like code and like numbers and probabilities, and that sounds pretty cool. I think I'm pretty good at that. I love probabilities. I love numbers. I've always been good with statistics, and I still get to like write code too. Like, okay, cool. Let me check this out. And that's kind of where I went in that direction, right? But I mean, I hope that answers you. If I didn't understand your question correctly, let me know. Okay. Hey Dennis, hey Adam, nice to see you. I think I've seen you around before, so thanks so much for checking in again. Nyan says, hey Nyan, good to see you again. Nyan, you're becoming a great supporter here. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, having the confidence that you could do a project end to end while being time efficient must be it when you've been putting in the work. Yeah, that's exactly right, Nyan. Because that process of that one day, really made me think like, okay, like I might have the skills to do this. It's not theoretical anymore. I have the execution ability, right? Because I had just been shown this tool, and within an hour I produced something that I could have shown to a client. I didn't have any clients for police data at the time, but yeah, you're describing it exactly right, where I was able to kind of just jump into a situation and say, oh, that's a cool tool, and I understand what the tool is telling me when it chose this model and all that, and in fact, I remember that I went through a couple of iterations with the same data as far as like the feature selection, right? And just being able to go and like even go through like little mini iterations and produce something in a very short amount of time. And then also the fact that my coworkers didn't understand it, right? Because they were still like in Java land and developer land. that's what made me say like, okay, I've outgrown this pond. It's time for me to move on. So yeah, I mean, that weekend I started pushing out my resume as a data scientist resume. So yeah, you're describing it exactly right, Nayan. So Hamad says, and by the way, if you're still joining us, feel free to introduce yourself. Just let us know where you're from. Helps the global community. Hamad says, before jumping in data scientist job, should we start data analysis job? What's your view on this? Is this a good question? I think it's a very good question, Hamad. Should you be a data analyst before you're a data scientist? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a very reasonable path to becoming a data scientist. I have helped people follow that same path because, you can tell who the talented data analysts are. So yeah, I think it's a reasonable way to do it. What you're going to have to show, though, is you're going to have to show your modeling skills once you're on the job, because that's the primarily the biggest difference between an analyst and a data scientist, right? The modeling skills. So you're either going to have to learn those on the job or continue to develop them on your own, whatever the case may be. But that's going to fall on you to have to do that. That's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to have to like demonstrate to show that you're ready to become a data scientist. Okay? I hope that helps you. Let me take a little break here and show you guys one thing. So first of all, I posted this on our Discord. If you're interested in the Discord, please join us. Yeah, we're up to almost 60 people. Great conversations. Great way for us to stay in contact, beyond the live streams. But tomorrow, I'm going to have a very special stream. I'm going to have, for my first time ever, I'm going to have a special guest joining us. And, I've really been blessed that all of my special guests have said, yeah, Dennis, I want to do a live stream. I don't want to do pre-recorded. Put me in there with the chat. So they are brave enough to come in and just go live with me and start talking with all of you. I think that's just wonderful. So this is my friend Kyle. He's a managing director, and I've worked with him for a few years. He's based out of London, really good guy, really personable. He's ready for you guys. I checked in with him last night, and he told me he's ready. But yeah, so for August, I'm going to have a bunch of special guests. I have nobody less than a director coming in. I only have directors and managing directors coming in because those are where my friends are. So yeah, I'm calling in old favors. I'm calling up old contacts saying, hey, would you come and talk to us? And they've agreed. So tomorrow it's going to be a really great stream. Do not miss it. Come ready with questions. I mean, look, how many opportunities in life do you get to ask questions of a managing director? That doesn't happen very often, guys. So come tomorrow, ask your questions. He's ready for you. It's going to be a great stream, so I hope you don't miss it. And then I have another guest coming in on the 8th. And then on the 15th, my friend Laura Sell is also going to join us. She's a director in wealth management, also based in London. But I just have really good guests coming up, so hope you'll come around for that, okay? But tomorrow it's Kyle, managing director, really good guy. It's going to be a good session. I'm excited about it. Okay, so coming back to the questions, and again, if you guys want, it's you guys are, if you guys are still coming late, let me know where you're from. Just check in with us. The Mirut Yanjay, did you tell us where you're from, Mirut? Let me know. Tableau or Power BI? Both. You're going to come into both, right? So I would say it's beneficial to know both of those. I like that you're focusing on tools that are much more on-premise oriented. I mean, I know they have cloud versions, but these are two very common on-premise solutions, which is great, right? Not everybody uses cloud. So I like that from the two selections. But why not learn both? You're going to need both in your career at some point. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. All right? Rex says, great to hear your advice about taking business courses. I just started a LinkedIn learning course on business. Great, Rex. That sounds like a good move on your part. Yep. Remember, and I want to stress this because I see people making this mistake in data science, right? Honestly, it's probably the number one trait of the people who don't make it long-term in data science. They never learn to get away from talking about the math, the code, and the theory, and talking to the business, right? You know I say it jokingly, but I do mean it seriously. Nobody shows up for meetings with the math guy, right? When the math guy sends out a meeting invite, that's the one people delete, right? So you can't be that math guy. And you know, and I've said before, you don't need it as much math and data science as you think you do, right? So you have to learn how to talk in business terms and present business impact, not code impact, not you know, algorithm impact, or hey, I did this and it uses the latest and greatest tool. They don't care. You know what I tell my first year analysts, or really all of my teams, is that ultimately the business, they just want our bottom line, our reports, right? How we got there doesn't even matter to them. We could have used a room full of monkeys to come up with the answer, right? They don't care. They don't care that we use this massive, amazing neural network with the latest frameworks and updates. They don't care. They want to know, here's the data I gave you. What can I do with it? And okay, you showed me progress. What are your projections, right? What are your predictions, right? And then how can I, and then put this in an app for me, right? That's really all they care about. If you don't make that jump, then your career in data science will be very short, right? You have to be able to work with the business side. I guarantee you that's the case. And I've seen this, and I'm telling you that because I've seen this. I've seen plenty of people who come in, they work hard, they land a job at a big enterprise company, and 2 years later they have to move on because nobody talks to the math nerds, right? So keep that in mind, guys. So Rex, good job. Business acumen, you're on the right track there, my friend. Giovanni, thanks. I'll take your advice into account. Cool. Yeah, and good luck with your master's program. Abdul is in the building. Good, Abdul. Nice to have you. Our man in Boston. Hey, Ricardo Ramon. Ricardo back again from Atlanta, Georgia. Good to see you, my friend. Now, I don't want to blow up your spot, but I think you changed your name. I think you were here under previous name, so I'm not going to say it. But good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well out there in Atlanta. Himansh Sharma asks, sir, is it necessary to have solid DSA background if we are targeting for data science roles? Okay, guys, come on. All right. Who did this? Who did this to you guys? Give me the names of whatever influencers are out there pushing the DSA. Like, obviously DSA has gone viral in the last couple of weeks or whatever. Like I said, I don't keep up too much with the content creators, but I keep on getting these DSA questions. Who is out there pushing this? Give me their names, guys, because whoever this is needs to stop. The need for DSAs is way oversold. Like I said, I'm guessing somebody went viral talking about DSAs. Oh, you gotta buy my DSA course to get a job. Yeah, you can't do it without my course. Don't buy into that, guys. I have never asked a DSA question in my life. I don't know of anybody else who has. But I think that they are way overblown for what you're gonna need, right? What I would think you did. Oh, that's funny. I just jumped ahead. Who did this to us? The list is too long to... That's hilarious. Nice one, Joseph. You made me laugh. Put Joseph on the board. He made me laugh today. That's hilarious. Look, what you're going to need is you're going to need to demonstrate that you understand theory. I'm talking about interviews, right? You understand theory. You did some work on your own. Hey, here's a LinkedIn article that I wrote with my own research. And you're going to have to show most likely some coding ability, right? I don't agree with it, but most places are going to give you some sort of coding test, and presumably in Python, right? If you have a solid portfolio and you've practiced your interview and all that, you're gonna end up somewhere in data science. And then from there, it's going to be about learning the libraries and frameworks that your team has adopted, right? And also like their coding practices, right? This is the IDE we use. This is our source control. These are our servers. We use Keras, not PyTorch. We use Watson, not Azure. You're gonna have to learn all of that, right? But I assure you that no one's gonna sit you down and say, well, here, right now that you're with us, go ahead and start writing something that's oriented, in the DSA space, right? So It's going to be more about knowing how to execute the data science methodology in a particular framework and learning whatever framework your team has adopted. That's going to be much more key than DSA specific study. Okay. So I keep, like I said, guys, I keep on getting this question. So obviously, somebody out there is spreading this. I don't know who, but I mean, I've gotten this question a lot in the last 2 weeks. So seriously, let's pump the brakes on that, guys. M. Wilson 15 says, where is your Discord link? So Wilson, on my Instagram, in my highlights, I have a highlights named socials. Actually, no, in fact, yeah, it's in my socials, and you can click on there and you'll find the link to the Discord. It's one of my recent stories up there. If not, or maybe maybe Patrick can post it in the chat. That would be good too. Yeah, so shout out to Patrick, guys. He's a great mod. He really helps me out. So make sure you send him a thank you because he does a really good job with the moderation. Joseph says, good morning, Dennis. Hope your day is going well. A little late here. Joseph, you know better than to show up late for my streams. But you made me laugh today, so we'll give you a pass. But yeah, good to see you, my friend. And Joseph's also a great contributor on our Discord. So if you want to keep in touch with good guys like Joseph, feel free to join our Discord. Can I take AI and DS in India? That's from Himanshu. Yeah, why not? Like, why the question? Like, is there something preventing you from doing that, or that you would think would prevent you from doing that? Help me understand the question there, Himanshu. Like, are you not able to do that? Let me know. Piyush says, in India, there is some sort of a session. Okay. So was it an influencer based out of India, or like is somebody selling a course or something, right? Because, I hate the fact that there's people out there selling courses or overhyping these courses that really aren't that needed. So yeah, I hope you guys aren't investing or spending too much money in this, okay? Himanshu says, what about AI and data science future? I think the future is very positive for it. I think, we're going to have to adjust like we always have to. One of my basic beliefs is that we're going to be using a lot more AI tools. And that's why I'm teaching on Sundays using ChatGPT. So if you guys want to come on Sunday for the class on this book, we do not write any code ourselves. We use ChatGPT to write code. Because again, I think that's the future of data science, right? You're not gonna write algorithms. You're gonna write the prompts to help ChatGPT write the algorithms, and then you're gonna have to edit that code. In the classes, we've already seen ChatGPT make mistakes, and we've had to edit some of those items, right? And that's okay because we're still saving time. We're still adopting new tools. So I think the future is still very bright for data science. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You're gonna have to stay up to speed. You're gonna have to put in your work, right? Just like you would in any profession, but it's still gonna be there, right? I mean, if you talk to like a doctor or a surgeon that's later on in their career, they're still a doctor or surgeon. They've had to learn a lot of new things along the way, right? They can't just stop at what they learned in school, right? They modified their thinking and they learn new things, right? So it's no different than that. No different than that. Giovanni says, would you say that writing effectively is a must in terms of business report? Maybe book recommendations? Yeah, great question, Giovanni. Yes, absolutely. Being able to write effectively and write, in a way that your business stakeholders will understand is extremely key. Is there a book on it? I don't have a good book. I mean, I've been fortunate to work for companies that give us a lot of training. That's one of the few things I miss about working for a big company. Big companies usually give you some really good training. So I've been fortunate to receive that. But overall, I would say you want to start looking at books about emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence really is the difference in terms of both how you write and also how you express yourself, right? So that's what I would tell you, Giovanni, that you want to start looking at some of those books. But as far as like a specific like writing book or like an advanced English book, I don't know of a good one. I can't speak to that. You know, I like to only speak to things that I directly know about, and I don't have a good book recommendation for you on that. You know, when I was younger, I did take some like advanced writing courses, and that helped me in terms of thinking about how you're going to structure a document. But otherwise, I really can't tell you that I have a good book in mind. Maybe I'll look for one. It's a great question, Giovanni. But you know what? I like that you're thinking along this track. You're thinking along the right track. So good for you. Hey guys, try to do me a favor here. Please don't repeat the questions in the chat. You know, it kind of clogs up the chat. It feels a little spammy. If you see it on your phone, I promise you it'll appear on my chat system here. It just takes me a while to get to it, but please don't spam the chat. I appreciate that. Yeah, Patrick's already on top of it. Thank you so much, Patrick. I just saw your comment. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Ricardo says DSA data science. Yeah, Ricardo, I think somebody else will give you the answer in the chat there. Nyan says the whole DSA and data science thing is mainly a thing that's become in India because people on Instagram have said that big companies such as Amazon or Meta takes DSA into account during the recruitment process. I can't speak to their recruitment process, but I can speak to the fact that there are more companies than Amazon or Meta, right? I think people sometimes get a little too obsessed with particular companies. You know, in this case, they're both part of the FANGs, right? But realize that you're going to go through a lot of different interviews, right? You're not always going to be interviewing with Amazon and Meta, right? There's always going to be other hiring managers, other hiring processes out there. So even if this was true, because again, I'm not saying that I know that it is. I mean, it's kind of a weird question to ask during interviews, in my opinion. But you know, try not to hyper focus on one thing, right? Because another thing you've just told me is you've just told me that you're following the crowd, right? And if you're following the crowd, then I don't want this to sound harsh, but if you're just following the crowd, then what good are you? Right? How good are you if all you're doing is swimming along with the other fish? I mean, that's not really data science, right? Because you could, if you wanted to, make an entire career of doing nothing but code and math for data science. But guess what? Anybody can do code and math, right? There's no differentiator there, right? There's no way for you to stand out and differentiate yourself. You're missing on all the creativity that's available in data science. Because I think data science is a highly creative field, right? It's all about how you look at the world and numbers and how data flows to you, right? And how you use that data. Like that's the skill, right? Like that's what makes you like a top data scientist. But here, I mean, you're just telling me you're just following the crowd, right? Don't do that. I mean, you don't want to do that in any career you do, right? So, you know, I would advise you to kind of, you know, keep an open mind, you know, that one, it might be overstated by whoever is hyping this up, right? You know, it's one of those things where, you know, one person had it on one single interview and then all of a sudden, oh my God, this is all they're asking, right? Or actually, you know what this reminds me of? I think about a month ago or like a couple months ago, you know, there was that article that where Google had let go of one of their Python teams, and then it kind of got exploded on Twitter about, oh, well, Google's not using Python anymore. Python is out of Google because they fired this team, and it's like, that's silly, right? A company like Google has like hundreds of Python teams around the world. And there was like this one team, I think they were like based in Texas or something like that, and that was let go. And it's like, really? Like Google has how many hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide, and one team is dissolved, and you're turning that into Python leaving Google? Of course not, right? Things get blown out of proportion. And that's what this is sounding like, right? So, you know, just calm down. There's a lot more to data science than DSAs, and there's a lot more to just studying DSAs that you can use to be creative. I mean, you got to show that creativity. You got to look for the opportunities to be different, right? Because if you're just throwing yourself into the pile of people that know math and code, well, then it's a lottery, right? You're putting yourself into just a lottery. They might pick you, they might not, and they don't know to pick you because you're not different, right? So keep that in mind. You want to stand out in a way. That's why I encourage you guys to go out and do the work and do the data. And it's another reason why I don't like to give project ideas, because the last thing I want is for somebody to take my project idea and copy it exactly. Like that's dumb. Like you didn't understand the assignment, right? Be different. Be okay with going away from whatever Instagram says, right? Whatever your friends say. Be okay with that. I guarantee you that'll bring you good things, because you can't stand out unless you're different, right? All right, so Patrick, thank you so much. Putting the Discord in for everybody to benefit from on Instagram. So thank you so much, Patrick. Ricardo says, thanks, Diane. I love the community helping each other. Love that. Okay, so Praveen says, sir, I recently want to start learning database tools. Which one I choose, MySQL or PostgreSQL? If you're just learning, you're just starting out, I'm assuming that you mean you're going to focus on learning SQL in general, right? Which is good. So you should try to learn SQL like in its purest form, right? Because SQL has different variations based on whatever package you're using, right? Like Oracle or SQL or Hadoop. Or I guess Hive, I should really say. So I would say MySQL, because MySQL kind of writes like the cleanest SQL code, like, cleanest, so I think that's a pretty good package to learn from. MySQL is a pretty good package to learn just to kind of practice your own data skills. So that's what I would advise you. Rex says, thank you, Patrick. You're doing amazing work. And he is, yeah. Rex, thank you for the shout out. And Patrick is doing amazing work. Thank you so much for the assistance, Patrick. Okay, so it changed to Main now. I was wondering that to myself when I was saying that. I was like, is it Fang anymore? I think it's Main. But yeah, okay. Thank you for that, yeah. But look, there's more to life than the main companies, guys, right? There's tons of companies. Like, look, in the mains, there's no financial companies. Are you telling me you don't want to work for a finance company? Of course you do, right? There's more to life than the mains, so calm down. There's more to life than DSAs. Ricardo says, it's easy to feel insufficient with so many moving parts to data science. Yeah, there are a lot of parts to data science for sure. But again, you gotta control what you can control, and you gotta follow your interests, right? Because if you flip that around, right, the many moving parts means that you have the ability to choose what you want to specialize in and become really good in, right? Like I know people, who are like my age, right, like later in their careers, and they've dedicated themselves to visualizations. They love visualizations, and that's all they do. And I don't know if you guys realize that, but visualizations at the professional level, like with that passion, is like a whole other ballgame, right? Like they are doing some amazing things, right? So yeah, it is a lot. It can be overwhelming, but look at it as an opportunity. Look at it as an opportunity to explore different things, right? You can look at it as the variety of it all, like the variety of exploration. Like to me, that's what I liked about data science. When I was doing software development, you're basically just moving on from one deployment to the other, right? But in data science, one day you're working on this, another day you're working on that. I like that. So look at it as an opportunity, Ricardo. But you're bringing up a valid point. It can be overwhelming. But look at it as an opportunity to kind of initially explore, and then also specialize. Abdul says, can anybody help with a peer review of my projects and skills and objective opinion? If you're open to that, sure. That can be a double-edged sword, right? So be careful with that. So sometimes when you put yourself through those types of things, you hear things that you don't want to hear, right? So be careful too. All right, so Himanshu says, according to you, which things we should do complete in first year in engineering college for a better job, like which computer language should we do? So Himanshu, I have an entire guide available for students. If you go to my YouTube, it's a data science guide for students. I lay out what I would be studying. But generally speaking, the answer you're looking for is Python. But don't jump to Python, jump to learning data science methodology, right? Python is a tool. Computer languages in general are tools. You got to know what to do with them first, right? But go ahead and look at that video, and that should provide you some guidance, okay? Piyush says here in India, Maying, their first round of interview is of DSA. Do you know that for a fact, Piyush, or did you hear that online? Like, what is your level of evidence there, right? Because if you're a true data scientist, you should be asking, well, what evidence do I have of this statement, right? So let me know what exactly you know firsthand of that. Not my friend of my friend of my friend told me, but you firsthand. Any insight on good resources to develop business acumen in the context of DSDA, any courses or books? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question, M. Wilson. I do not. You know, Rex in the chat earlier mentioned a business acumen course on LinkedIn. Maybe you want to look into that. But you know, for me, I do not have a technical degree. My undergrad is in international business. So I kind of developed my business acumen via that. So I was really fortunate to have made that selection early on in my career. But yeah, I have a business degree, so that's kind of where that comes from. That's helped me a lot. It's helped me a ton, actually. It helps that I went to a pretty good school for international business. But as far as courses or books, you know, I'll look again because I have a reading list available on Amazon, but I can't think of any particular book that's just about business. Yeah, I'll look again, and if I find something, maybe I'll post it on my Instagram. But no, I nothing comes to mind. Good question though. But you know, maybe somebody in the chat will help you. You know, if anybody in the chat knows a good book for Wilson, please let us know. Or Rex, if you want to let us know more about that business acumen course you were talking about. You know, I'm sure the resources are out there. I just personally don't know, and you know, I like to stay in my lane when I give you guys advice. Yeah, Patrick is helping with data structures and algorithms. Yep, that's exactly what DSA is. Abdul says authenticity is key. What part were you referencing there, Abdul? Obviously you're referencing to something, but you know, there's a delay on the chat, and sometimes it takes me a while, so I'm not 100% sure of what you were referencing there. So if you want to remind me, I'd appreciate that. Patrick says, hop on the Discord, Abdul. Yeah, that's good advice, Abdul. If you want that check, you know, that portfolio check, I think at least one or two people have posted some of the stuff that they've written. So yeah, you want to go ahead and do that. Jump on the Discord and say, hey, I need help. And the community's been great about helping, you know, so feel free to do that if you're comfortable with that, right? I mean, I don't want anybody to do anything they're uncomfortable with. But if that sounds like something you really want, and you know, or maybe you can message somebody privately on Discord and say, hey, can you help me with this? Okay. Michael says, what's your take on Bokeh and Seaborn? I don't know them. Seaborn sounds really familiar. That's one of the Gen AI tools, right? I think that's one of the video generation tools, maybe? So Michael, give me some more information on that. I can't remember what those tools are. Just by the name, I'm guessing Bokeh is an image generation tool. Cool name for one. I like that name. Seaborn, I don't know it, so let me know. I believe it's the video generation, but let me know, okay? Himanshu says, have you any course for first year students of AI and data science? Yeah, like I said, check out my video, data science roadmap for students. It's completely free. I don't sell any courses, guys. Selling courses is not my style. Most of them are rip off anyways. But yeah, the only thing I do sell is I do sell my book, Your First Year in Data Science. If you want to check it out on Amazon, that's how to make the transition from a student and into the business world. And I talk a little bit about stakeholder management. Well, I have a whole chapter on stakeholder management in there. So you are welcome to check that out. But if you are still like kind of early in your studies, check out Data Science Roadmap for Students. It talks about how I did it and how I would do it like in the present day. But you might want to check that out, okay? There is a book called Data Science for Business by Foster Provost. I'm still in the process of reading it, but it's been great so far. Okay, well, great. So yeah, guys, I like this recommendation. but you don't always have to have something that's data science related. It's okay to just read a general business book, right? Because that also kind of helps you identify new opportunities, you know, and also kind of helps you understand the thought patterns that are out there, you know, in the greater business community. So yeah, I mean, that sounds like a great recommendation. Thank you for that, Rex. But don't be afraid to also just read, like, you know, standard business books. Okay? I mean, another one that I guess really the only one that does come to mind, you know, kind of similar to Rex's recommendation, would be Moneyball. You know, and most of you might know Moneyball as a movie because it was a great movie, you know, with Brad Pitt and all that. But the book itself is very good. The book is excellent. Actually, you know, that might be a good recommendation too. So the book is by Michael Lewis. And I think the book Moneyball goes a lot more into it than the movie did. And on top of that, Michael Lewis is a great writer. And he writes about like business issues, not always data related, but definitely business issues. So he wrote The Quants, which if you're interested in quantitative trading, that's his book. I'm pretty sure that's his book. And then he also wrote another one, somebody can correct me, I believe it's called The Flash Traders or The Flash Boys. I think it's called The Flash Boys. Oh, and he also wrote The Big Short. The Big Short is a great book for you to read too, right? About the housing crisis, you know, the global housing crisis in 2008. So that's a great business book too, from somebody who writes from like a little bit of a data-oriented perspective. So yeah, so you guys might want to look at those too. Okay, so Rohan and Michael are correcting me, and they are libraries for highly interactive graphs and visualizations. Okay, thank you for that. You know, I don't know them, so I can't speak intelligently on them. When it comes to the highly interactive stuff, personally, I like D3JS. D3JS, you know, blows my mind every time I look at it and use it. I think that's a really cool library. But to be frankly honest with you, I usually have people do that work for me. You know, like that. This is the kind of stuff that I hand off to my staff. You know, I give a lot of my first year and second year analysts, I give them data engineering work and visualization work, you know, to kind of get them started off in their careers. So I don't know these particular two libraries. So, you know, sorry, I can't really speak intelligently to them. But D3JS, if this really interests you, right? If you really want to get into visualizations, then D3JS is something you might want to consider also. I mean, to me, they do some mind-blowing stuff in that library. Not always the easiest library to use, but, you know, I think it's pretty cool in terms of what you're able to do in those highly interactive libraries. All right, guys, I'm going to stream here for a couple more minutes. Gosh, we're already up on an hour. It goes so quick. You know, when you guys send me questions, you know, the time goes so quickly. I love it. Thanks so much for participating, guys. But yeah, so last call for questions. And while you guys are waiting for that, I'm going to switch over to remind you again, tomorrow, my good friend Kyle is going to join us. He's a managing director. Who else, guys? What other Instagram accounts out there are giving you the opportunity to ask questions of a managing director? I don't know of anybody else doing this. If there is somebody else, you let me know. But Kyle's a good guy. He's ready. You know, we had a pre-meet session last week, and he was really excited. I checked in with him last night. He's ready to go. So I really commend him for being willing to jump in and join the chat, right? That's not for everybody. It's not easy to go on live stream, right? So he's gonna come in, he's gonna, you know, share his thoughts with us. Really looking forward to it. And really most of it, we're making it an AMA, you know? He told me, hey Dennis, I only want you to ask me a couple of questions, and then I want the chat to ask me questions. So we're gonna keep it lively, just like we keep my streams, you know, on other days. And he's gonna take your questions, right? So come join us. It's going to be great. I'm just really excited about the August content, guys. I really can't say that enough because I have some really good guests lined up. Nothing but directors and managing directors. But yeah, it's going to be good. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate the conversation today. Thank you, Patrick, for the moderation. And again, guys, thank you so much for the last 3 months. Today, I'm closing out my 3 months of content creation. And it's been great, and I just want to keep going and keep bringing you as much good content as I can. So take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.